We'll first take a look at some of the latest developments about the FBI's search of former President Trump's home. A federal district judge approved the search warrants just days ahead of the raid. Court records show the U.S. Magistrate Judge Bruce Reinhart issued warrants last Friday. The White House today claimed it was not informed ahead of the raid. The FBI searched the Florida Mar-a-Lago resort on Monday. Trump was not in the state at the time. Trump's son, Eric Trump, told Fox News the raid was about documents.
The purpose of the raid, from what they said, was because the National Archives wanted to, corroborate whether or not Donald Trump had any documents in his possession.
Trump previously agreed to return certain records to the archives, calling it an ordinary and routine process. Trump supporters gathered outside Mar-a-Lago Monday night and Tuesday to decry the FBI's actions. Also today, a federal appeals court ruled that a House committee could obtain Trump's tax records, but Trump's lawyers could appeal this decision. In the wake of this raid into Trump's home, Congress's January 6th Select Committee is expected to have heard from two key witnesses: Republican gubernatorial nominee for Pennsylvania and former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Pompeo was the director of the CIA during the first year of the Trump presidency. Then he went on to serve as the head of the State Department for the remaining 3 years. The January 6th panel says they're interested in talking to members of Trump's cabinet. In particular, they want to know more about conversations they had with Trump regarding the 25th Amendment, which involves the forced removal of a president. It's unclear if Pompeo actually spoke with the committee today. The meeting was expected to be virtual and not posted for public viewing. As for gubernatorial nominee Mastriano, his lawyer told the New York Times that the state senator has nothing to hide and would be happy to answer their questions, going on to say that their only concern is to, quote, prevent the committee from releasing misleading and edited portions while keeping the proper context hidden. New York City's mayor says illegal immigrants are overwhelming the city's systems, and they held a special hearing on the issue. Texas's governor says he'll continue to send illegal aliens to other cities until the Biden administration secures the southern border. But the Biden administration just officially ended the Remain in Mexico policy. Here's NTD's Melina Wisecup with more.
The Department of Homeland Security has officially ended the Remain in Mexico policy, which previously allowed the Border Patrol to send immigrants to Mexico to await their court dates. In a twist, the DHS will now gradually allow several thousand migrants who are currently in Mexico into the U.S. to pursue their asylum claims. This as FEMA continues to spend millions to house illegal immigrants across the country. Andrew Arthur, resident at the D.C.-based Center for Immigration Studies, points out that FEMA is an organization specifically designed to handle disasters.
FEMA is the DHS organization that is dedicated to responding to disasters. It's high time that the Biden administration actually admit that its policies had led to a disaster at the southwest border.
But the situation is now spilling over into cities far from the border, prompting the New York City Council today to hold a special hearing on how to handle the recent influx of migrants, who Mayor Eric Adams has said is overwhelming the system.
Predominantly young men from Venezuela.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott has sent around 70 illegal immigrants to New York City and more than 6,000 to Washington, D.C. And he says he will continue to do so until, quote, Biden does his constitutional duty and secures our border. Adams today responding,
I am deeply contemplating taking a busload of New Yorkers to go to Texas and do some good old-fashioned door knocking.
The mayor and others often refer to the illegal immigrants as asylum seekers, which Arthur tells NTD is a mischaracterization.
Many, if not most of them, don't actually have valid asylum claims, are not going to be eligible for. Most of these individuals, most of the 1.129 million who have been released into the United States, are going to enter into that immigration court system, and by the time the full impact is felt, there are only about 600 immigration judges. Handling 2 million cases will create an unbearable burden. The entire system is going to break down.
Does this slow down the asylum process for those who actually would, in fact, be eligible for asylum?
Yeah, and that's a key point that I think, many people in the administration and most of the public doesn't get. There are individuals, aliens who are in the United States who are eligible for asylum, and they should be granted as quickly as possible. When I was an immigration judge, I heard a lot of asylum claims from nationals of the People's Republic of China who alleged that they had been persecuted because they were Christians. The applicant in the United States would allege that the Chinese government was putting pressure on their family back home because they knew that their loved one here was applying for asylum in the United States. That's a great example of the individuals that we want to get out of harm's way as quickly as possible. We want to bring those people to the United States. That's what this country is built on.
Reforming the asylum system is an immigration issue where both Republicans and Democrats have found common ground. A few bipartisan bills have been introduced to address this issue. However, congressional leadership has not yet taken it as a priority to get results. Reporting in Washington, D.C., Melina Weiskup, NTD News.
Taiwan is warning that the Chinese regime's military drills are more than a rehearsal to invade Taiwan. Taiwanese Foreign Minister Joseph Wu said that China's military operations reveal their ambitions to control the entire region outside Taiwan.
China is clearly trying to deter other countries from interfering in its attempt to invade Taiwan. China has used the drills in its military playbook to prepare for the invasion of Taiwan. Its rehearsal of anti-access and area denial, or A2AD, tactics gives us a clear image of China's geostrategic ambition beyond Taiwan.
The CCP began military drills last Thursday, sending warships and planes into the Taiwan Strait and launching missiles into waters surrounding the island. This is all in response to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan last week. Taiwan's foreign minister also said that China has no right to interfere with Taiwan's democracy or interactions with other nations. Taiwan's military also conducted its own exercises, sending a message that it is ready to defend the island. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's 19-hour visit to Taiwan continues to spark furious reactions from the Chinese Communist regime. Pelosi today defended her decision to visit Taiwan, saying the trip was worth it. I had a chance to talk with Arizona Republican Congressman Andy Biggs. Let's get his take.
Congressman Andy Biggs, thank you so much for joining us.
Steve, thanks for having me. Good to be with you.
Congressman, there's been a lot of talk since the Speaker of the House has returned from her trip to Taiwan. There's been a lot of rhetoric from mainland China, the CCP. What's your assessment of that trip?
Well, I'm supportive of members of Congress, including the Speaker, going to Taiwan. I thought the mixed signals from the Biden administration coming out saying she shouldn't go, the Pentagon doesn't want her to go, all of these things, I thought the mixed signals of why she was there was not good. I would have liked to see her say we're going over for a purpose, and we're going to, maybe it's to meet with business leaders, maybe it's to meet with the president, etc. Whatever, a very specific purpose. I would have liked her to not say, I'm going to go, I'm not going to go. I thought that vacillation really showed weakness and empowered, quite frankly, the CCP to come out. I mean, a lot of the provocative language coming from China, CCP, that's there all the time. I mean, they send the Navy around, they encroach on Taiwan's airspace. Let's just acknowledge that Taiwan's a friend. They're a Republican friend in a Northeast Asia that needs to have friends. We need friends like South Korea and Japan and Taiwan. Let's just acknowledge that, and I think if our Secretary of State was doing a better job, I think that you would have seen the CCP stand down a little bit on their bellicose language.
So, Congressman, if you were invited to Taiwan to take a trip, would you make that journey?
Yeah, I would. If it worked with schedule with Congress and everything, I would go over there.
And would you have liked to have seen a more unified front in terms of the Secretary of State, the White House, and the Speaker all being on the same page? Is that?
Yeah, I would. I mean, the bottom line is, I think it was the rhetoric and the confused messaging that really was the problem here. For decades, members of Congress have gone to Taiwan congressional delegations to meet with them. We do a lot of trade with Taiwan. We do a lot of security discussions with Taiwan. That's normal. Why turn it into something extraordinary and provoke CCP? Why not have some good diplomacy and make this thing work right so everybody sees where we are and we can go forward?
Congressman Andy Biggs, thank you so much.
Thanks, Steve.